I never imagined that one impulsive decision could unravel my entire life. My husband Mark was everything I had ever wanted, or so I thought. He was kind, attentive, and endlessly patient. But over time, the spark we once had began to fade, replaced by routine, monotony, and unspoken frustrations. I tried to tell myself it was normal, that all long-term relationships experience this lull. But somewhere along the line, I made a choice that would change everything. It started innocently enough, or at least I convinced myself it did. A colleague, someone charismatic and flattering, started noticing me in ways I hadn't felt in years. Compliments, lingering glances, and subtle touches, each one fed a desire I had suppressed for too long. One evening after a work event, I made a decision I will regret forever. I cheated. At first, it was exhilarating. A rush of secrecy, excitement, and forbidden pleasure. I told myself it was just a mistake, a brief lapse, and that it didn't define me or my marriage. But secrets have a way of growing. What started as a single encounter quickly became multiple meetings, hidden texts, and clandestine phone calls. I became adept at hiding my actions, crafting lies, and maintaining a facade of normalcy with Mark. The first sign that my double life might unravel came when Mark noticed subtle changes. A missed glance, a faint smell of perfume not his own, subtle tension in my mannerisms. I brushed it off, blamed stress or fatigue, and continued with my secret life, convinced I was careful enough to avoid consequences. But secrets have a way of surfacing, often in ways you cannot control. One evening, Mark came home early from a business trip. He noticed my phone left unlocked on the kitchen counter, the screen displaying a message from my lover. "Can't wait to see you again." I froze. His eyes met mine, sharp and unwavering, as if he already knew. "You've been seeing someone," he said calmly, not accusing, not shouting, but with a weight that made the room feel impossibly small. My heart raced. I tried to deny it, to fabricate excuses, but the truth was already written across my actions, my messages, my lies. I confessed, hoping for forgiveness, for understanding, for some chance to repair the damage. But Mark's expression was cold, almost unreadable. The consequences began immediately. He didn't yell. He didn't leave. He planned carefully, deliberately, and in a way I could never have anticipated. First, he documented everything: screenshots, recordings, notes about my actions, dates, and times. Then he confronted me with the evidence in a way that left no room for denial. The psychological weight of exposure hit me harder than any punishment could have. He didn't need to humiliate me publicly. He didn't need to create drama. The knowledge that my betrayal was fully known, fully documented, and fully undeniable was enough to crush me. Mark also took steps I hadn't foreseen. He involved close family, friends, and even professional counselors to mediate the fallout. My lover disappeared from my life, unwilling to face the consequences of our actions. And I was left to navigate the ruins of a marriage I had nearly destroyed, under the scrutiny of everyone who mattered. In the months that followed, the emotional and social consequences were unthinkable. Trust once broken is nearly impossible to restore. Mark and I were forced into therapy, long conversations, and careful rebuilding of communication, but the intimacy, the automatic trust, the sense of safety, was forever altered. Friends and family looked at me differently, aware of my betrayal even if they didn't confront me directly. I learned something painful but necessary. Choices have consequences, especially those made in secrecy and selfishness. Cheating isn't just a momentary thrill. It's a fracture in the very foundation of trust, with effects that ripple outward, touching everyone around you. I also learned the complexity of forgiveness and accountability. Mark's response was calculated, measured, and devastating, not because he wanted revenge, but because he wanted me to fully grasp the weight of my actions. The unthinkable consequences were not merely social or relational, they were internal, psychological, and lasting. Now, years later, the memory of that choice still haunts me. The thrill, the excitement, the allure, all gone, replaced by regret, shame, and a careful mindfulness of how easily trust can be broken. The consequences were unthinkable, yes, but they were also unavoidable, permanent, and life-altering. I cheated on my husband. And in doing so, I learned a lesson that no apology, no explanation, and no attempt at repair could erase. Betrayal leaves scars, some visible, some invisible, but all permanent.